First of all, I really want to thank you for giving me an opportunity to talk to these really bright students here, and I think it's my pleasure to be doing this. I must tell all of you kids that it is personally very inspiring for me to see all of you at such a young age already thinking on the entrepreneurship path. So I personally find it very inspiring, and just kudos to all of you for having thought about this and having made it all the way to the point where you are. So congratulations to each one of you for thinking about this and taking this seriously so early in your life. I grew up in a fairly small town in Punjab. I think back then, this was long time back. Especially talking to this audience, I feel very old already, even though I'm 38 right now. So it's not that old, but I think when I was growing up, this was a really small town. This was the era when there was no Google Maps. So before Google Maps, it was a hard time for me to tell anyone where I grew up because it was hard to locate that place on a map. But I think just out of sheer coincidence and luck, I was a reasonably bright kid. Used to score well in maths and all of those things. And I remember back then, the only thing that in my town, especially where I grew up, people knew about future education was that if you get good marks, you go to Delhi to study. That's all that people knew, and there's nothing else. What you do after that, whether you become an engineer, doctor, what career, etc., it didn't matter. You get good marks, you go to Delhi. I was lucky enough to be one of the kids who ended up getting decent marks in class 10. So here I landed up in Delhi in DPS RK Puram, and post which that's where actually coincidentally I became very good friends with Kunal as well, who I eventually ended up starting the company with. But we were very close friends in DPS RK Puram. Both of us used to sit next to each other, and our friendship was based on jokes and food, which both of us were big fans of. Uh, Post which I went to IIT Delhi. And I think in IIT also I was doing okay. Honestly, I think since I was a child, for some reason or the other, I'd seen a lot of entrepreneurs around myself and business folks around myself, and as a result, I had this bug since childhood that someday I want to start my own business. At that point of time, I didn't have very deep understanding of business per se, but when I used to look at all the people around myself, I used to find it very fascinating that how no 2 days are the same for an entrepreneur. Every day they were talking about different things, solving different challenges, and I think that just as a young kid, that seemed like a very exciting life to have. That you have every day which is different. No 2 days are similar, and that's what I wanted for myself when I grew up as well. Uh, and I think I had this dream that someday I'll become an entrepreneur and start a business. I graduated from IIT Delhi, got this nicely well-paying job in the US. I worked for a year in Bangalore and was supposed to go to the US next year. And I think one of these days, Kunal and me used to keep in touch, and we used to keep discussing that we'll start some business or the other, and we used to keep discussing business ideas. And I was all ready to go to the US in a few months. Kunal was already in the US. And I still remember he was back home for his brother's wedding. And then, both of us got together and we started talking. And he said, Rohit, what's your plan? We were going to start a business. So what are you thinking now? And I told him that, I will do the whole, I'll go to the US, work for a few years, get an MBA from a decent school, work for a few more years to pay my loan off, then maybe come back to India and we'll start a business. He said, "Yaar, itna time kaun waste karega?" That's too many years. You're already talking 7, 8 years, and eventually, if you have to start a business, then I mean, why not we do it now? And that's what got me also thinking that what he's saying seems to make logical sense. We are very young right now. No one has any expectations from us as is. We have no expenses, no liabilities, no wife, kids, no families to take care of, etc., etc. So if eventually we have to start a business, why not start thinking about it right now? And I think the more important thing was that we knew that we wanted to do it someday, and we were very clear that given both of us had decent education, had done well in school, etc., we knew that if we wanted to work elsewhere, hopefully those opportunities will always be available with us. But if we really want to start a business, and if we don't start today, we may regret it at the end of our life, that 20 years later we really wanted to do something which we didn't do, and something that we didn't want to do was carry regrets for such a long period in life. So that's why we ended up starting the business 1 year after college.